More chocolate.
So I've covered your pretzel in chocolate 3 times now.
More chocolate.
Auntie Anne's may make some great pretzels, but there are some things that most customers are unaware of. So here are 10 secrets Auntie Anne's doesn't want you to know.
Tell me!
You can get free pretzels.
Here you go! Free pretzel wagon pretzels for everyone!
Customers at Auntie Anne's may get complimentary pretzels on National Pretzel Day, and sometimes on other special occasions. Sign up with the Pretzel Perks smartphone app to get your free pretzel. Throughout the year, Perks members earn points for free pretzels and other Auntie Anne's goodies. You'll even receive a free pretzel on your birthday, as well as other special incentives.
Best birthday ever!
In the past, free food was considered a way to gain the loyalty of customers and to increase sales. This is still true today. However, the concept has changed with the creation of branded apps. Whatever the reason, most people are just happy to get a free pretzel. The pretzel recipe was an accident.
But on Pretzel Day, well, I like Pretzel Day.
As one of the most iconic snacks in the United States, it's only fitting that pretzels get their own section in the history of food. Pretzels are a simple, tasty, and affordable food that can be eaten for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and really any time at all. First created in the Middle Ages, pretzels were originally made of rye. But today, you can find pretzels made from a variety of grains, and even pretzels that are completely grain-free. The shape of the pretzel can be round, square, the traditional twist, or really any shape that the baker dreams up. They also come in a variety of different flavors and colors. Talk about a versatile snack. According to the VP of Culinary Science and Technology at Auntie Anne's, the trusted flavor of an Auntie Anne's original pretzel is recreated tens of thousands of times every day.
That's impressive.
Yet, that taste only came about by accident one fateful day. After trying to perfect a recipe for pretzels with little success, Anne's husband decided to inject his own secret ingredient into the mix. This addition would establish the cherished and secret recipe for years to come. No one beyond close family of Auntie Anne knows what this ingredient is, but many different blogs and food fanatics have speculated on what it might be for years. Legend has it that her husband added sugar to a batch of pretzels. When they were finally ready, everyone fell in love with the new recipe. But could the secret ingredient really be as simple as sugar? We may never really know the truth to that question. The pandemic was a huge problem for Auntie Anne's.
Really?
Yeah, it was really bad.
When a global pandemic forced people to rethink dining out, restaurants responded by modifying their menus and offering takeout and delivery options. This was a fairly good solution for a lot of restaurants, but others just couldn't adapt to the new style of dining during the pandemic. Auntie Anne's revenues plummeted during this time, despite the fact that many fast food companies enjoyed a boost in business. Auntie Anne locations were heavily situated in shopping malls, which just weren't an option for customers during the heights of the pandemic. The chain's revenues dropped by a dismal 38% in 2020.
Not to say that that's bad.
As malls closed and the foot traffic that franchises rely on vanished. Auntie Anne's resorted to co-branding sites with its sibling firm, Jamba Juice, and when possible, added drive-through service. The question is, when was the last time someone went out of their way just to get a pretzel? It's usually a snack of convenience, like when you're out and busy with other things and happen to stumble upon a pretzel stand. The good news is that Auntie Anne's seems to finally be recovering from the dreaded effects of the global pandemic. So pretzel lovers can take a breath of fresh, pretzel-scented air. They weren't planning to focus on shopping malls.
This is not the plan!
Shopping malls around the world have grown increasingly popular, with the number of shopping malls in the United States having grown tremendously over the years. Even with the rise of online shopping, new shopping malls have been built in many cities all throughout the country over the last 20 years. While many of these new shopping malls are located in the suburbs, some are located in the central business districts as well. These malls often have diverse food courts that offer a large variety of cuisines. And yes, many of them have at least one pretzel stall as well. It's difficult to separate Auntie Anne's from the American shopping mall.
Would you like a chocolate-covered pretzel?
Since that's where the majority of their locations are situated. There were around 1,200 malls in the United States shortly before the global pandemic. which has been catastrophic for malls and mall tenants due to shutdowns and restrictions. And Auntie Anne's was in about 650 of them, or roughly half of them. However, that was never the chain's intended business strategy. It was just cheaper to open branches in retail malls when the firm was first getting started. This was a big win for hungry shoppers who also loved pretzels, though. Pretzels are one of the best foods to eat on the go, and can be a nice break for even the most avid shoppers. The lemonade is full of sugar.
Sweet. Love this one.
Lemonade's success can be attributed to the fact that it was a product meant for mass consumption. This meant that it was easy to produce, and the people who were consuming it were able to easily understand what they loved about it. It appealed to a large number of people, and it was easy to get. It became a household drink, and people knew that they could get the product whenever they wanted. The lemonade from Auntie Anne's, however, isn't your normal homemade lemonade. Unfortunately, it contains quite a bit more sugar than your typical lemonade.
How's your blood sugar?
Their smallest serving has a whopping 46 grams of sugar in just 16 ounces. According to current standards, an average adult woman in good health should have no more than 25 grams of sugar per day, while a healthy adult male should consume no more than 36 grams. By those metrics, no one should ever finish an old-fashioned lemonade from Auntie Anne's. But that's not stopping anyone. It's just too good. Pretzels are a risk for people with diabetes.
I have both type 1 and 2 diabetes.
Although pretzels may seem like a healthier alternative to potato chips, they are still not a smart choice if you have diabetes or are at risk of getting it. Most kinds of pretzels are made of the same components: white flour, yeast, salt, corn syrup, and vegetable oil. Elements like these can send blood glucose levels rising, which can be alarming for those who are diabetic or at risk for developing the disease. Compared to other forms of this popular salty snack, Auntie Anne's pretzels are quite a bit more unhealthy. A fresh Auntie Anne's pretzel really isn't the same as a handful of dry pretzels. Even the original Auntie Anne's salted pretzel has 65 grams of carbohydrates.
Yeah, that's huge.
Just 2 grams of blood sugar regulating fiber, 3 grams of saturated fat, unless you skip the butter, which, let's be honest, who would do that? And 990 milligrams of salt. Those seemingly harmless nibbles contain considerably more calories and carbohydrates than your average dried pretzels found in the snack aisle. The sodium content alone is something to be concerned about, and that's without adding a dipping sauce or getting a specialty pretzel, which bumps up the sodium factor even higher. So if you're going to indulge, you're better off sharing it with a friend. But good luck with that. These things are delicious and addictive. Some menu items have some high levels of saturated fat.
Fat coverage is always so polite.
Saturated fats raise blood cholesterol levels and have been linked to cardiovascular disease, while monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats have been linked to a reduced risk of heart disease. The best dietary fats to eat include those from plants, fish, and seafood. Unfortunately, when it comes to your favorite soft-baked pretzels, you'd be hard-pressed to find any redeeming nutritional factors contained in their doughy composition. 7 grams of saturated fat are included in just one Auntie Anne's cinnamon sugar pretzel, which is more than a third of your daily allowance.
It's pretzel!
The average pepperoni pretzel is usually topped with 8 slices of pepperoni, which of course sends the fat content even higher. A pretzel dog, on the other hand, has 9 grams of saturated fat, which could be worth it because these things are absolutely delicious. The saturated fat content in pretzels can be quite alarming if you're trying to watch what you eat, and they can also contain a lot of calories. But most pretzel lovers already know what they're getting themselves into and have determined that the reward vastly outweighs the risks. If you eat a lot of pretzels, though, make sure you are drinking a good amount of water and eating other healthy foods to help balance out the saturated fats and carbs from your favorite salty treat. Auntie Anne is a real person.
She is real.
Yes, the face and creator of the famed pretzel stand is in fact a real person. Even better is that she is still alive, only just now entering her 70s. Anne Beiler grew up in an Amish Mennonite village in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, surrounded by faith and family. She went to a normal Amish school until middle school. Auntie Anne did not get her GED until she was well into her 50s. Because of her cultural and religious upbringing, she barely completed 8th grade when she was younger. She was born into a strict Amish home, where both parents married young. She, on the other hand, decided to learn how to bake as a youngster. She was fortunately able to work at a restaurant after she reached adulthood. In many ways, these events really helped her create her iconic brand. Although she had 3 children, one of whom died in the 1970s, the business name derived from her position as an aunt to multiple nephews and nieces. After developing her baking skills, Anne started on her path to becoming an icon.
She is amazing.
Slowly at first, but she quickly established herself working at local markets and fairs. Anne swiftly rose through the ranks at one farmer's stand, and eventually got the opportunity to buy her own stand. Anne's new booth offered a variety of delicacies, including stromboli and pizza. Pretzels were only one of the numerous items available, and at the time, they were awful. Anne was ready to remove the pretzels from the menu after a few weeks of poor sales. Her husband, Jonas, then made a minor adjustment to the formula. Anne has never revealed the secret ingredient that makes her pretzels so tasty. But we do know one thing: the ingredients came from an ordinary Pennsylvania grocery shop. Her fame soon started to soar, as did sales. People flocked to Anne's farmer's market stall, desperate for a taste of the pretzels they'd heard so much about. She soon acquired another stand. The brand flourished as family members opened their own Auntie Anne's stores. Anne was a hero, and the rest is history. Auntie Anne's Cinnabon and Jamba Juice.
Hi, please tell me you have a sweet pretzel left.
We do.
Jamba Juice, Auntie Anne's, and Cinnabon all have something in common. They are now owned by Focus Brands, which is also the company that owns Seattle's Best. It bought the pretzel producer in 2010, but not much has changed since then. The staff, as well as the majority of the management team, stayed, and the brand's headquarters even remained in Pennsylvania. So, what became of Auntie Anne? She sold the company to her cousin, Sam, who subsequently stepped down as CEO and chairman. She and her husband put a large portion of their money into a counseling facility.
Council is now in session.
Which was actually one of the goals when they started the company in the first place. Auntie Anne's is a well-known pretzel brand, but its popularity stems from more than just the variety of pretzels. It's also because the brand puts forth values of generosity, simplicity, and constancy of its essential ideals. Consumers connect to these characteristics. After it was all said and done, Auntie Anne completed what she set out to accomplish with flying colors, and pretzel lovers all over continue to praise her each time they bite into a soft pretzel. The founder has had a tough life.
She has had a real hard life.
Anne Beiler was born on January 16, 1949, in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, to an Old Order Amish family of 8 children. Her parents decided to join the Amish Mennonite Church when she was 3 years old, which meant that while the family kept many Amish habits like farming and traveling by horse and buggy, they were only granted restricted access to modern luxuries like electricity. She did not complete high school, opting instead to leave after the 8th grade, as did many other Amish youngsters at the time.
She left school at the end of that year.
As an adult, and after the death of her youngest child in a tragic farming accident, Auntie Anne's creator, Anne Beiler, plunged into a years-long sadness that nearly destroyed her life. Beiler was on the verge of leaving her husband and leaving her religion, which had been a big part of her life before the disaster. Beiler eventually regained her composure and returned to work, establishing one of the most prominent pretzel brands the world has ever seen. Get more great videos. Just tap or click and leave us a comment, hit that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell.